My wife says she did it out of love. But love doesn't lie for 6 years. Love doesn't fund your husband's abuser behind his back. Original post. I'm writing this at 2 a.m. from my car in our driveway because I can't be in that house right now. I can't look at her. I can't look at the bed we share, the kitchen where we cook dinner together, the hallway lined with photos of our children. Everything feels contaminated now. I'm a 36-year-old man. I've been married for 9 years. I have 2 beautiful children, a 7-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son. Until 6 hours ago, I thought I had a good life. A hard-won life, built from nothing, built despite everything that tried to break me as a child. Now I'm sitting in the dark, and I don't know who my wife is anymore. It started with the bank statements. We're not struggling, but we're not wealthy either. We're the kind of comfortable where you still have to think about purchases, still have to budget for vacations, still have conversations about whether we can afford to fix the leak in the basement this year or if it can wait until next spring. Normal middle-class concerns. I was reviewing our joint account statements because I'm trying to refinance my student loans. I still owe about $47,000, loans I took out for a degree I worked my way through while also working 2 jobs. I've been chipping away at them for years, and I thought if I could get a better rate, maybe we could finally start putting money toward that family trip to Disney my daughter has been asking about for 2 years. That's when I noticed it. A recurring transfer. $500 per month. Going to an account I didn't recognize. I scrolled back, and back, and back. 6 years. The transfers started 6 years ago, 2 months after our daughter was born. I did the math 3 times because I didn't believe it. $36,000. $36,000 had been transferred from our joint savings to an account I had never seen, authorized by my wife, over 6 years. I felt calm when I walked into the living room where she was reading. That's the thing about shock. It doesn't feel like anything at first. It feels like stillness. "What's this account?" I asked, showing her my phone. She looked up. She saw the screen. And I watched the color drain from her face. In that moment, before she said a single word, I knew. I knew it was bad. I knew she had been hiding something significant. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have imagined, was just how deep this went. "I need you to tell me the truth," I said. "Right now." She started crying immediately. Not the slow build of tears, but the immediate collapse of someone who has been carrying a secret for years and knows the moment of reckoning has finally arrived. "Please don't be angry," she said. "Tell me. It's your mother." To understand why those 3 words shattered me, you need to understand my childhood. My mother left when I was 8 years old. I came home from school one day, and she was gone. No note. No explanation. Just gone. Her closet was empty. Her toothbrush was missing. The family photos with her in them had been taken down. My father, who had always been a heavy drinker, fell apart completely. Within months, he had lost his job. Within a year, he was barely functional. She left me with a man who couldn't stay sober long enough to make dinner. I raised myself. I learned to cook because no one else would feed me. I learned to do laundry because I was the only one who cared if I went to school in dirty clothes. I learned to forge his signature on permission slips, to lie to teachers about why there was no one at parent-teacher conferences, to pretend everything was fine when neighbors asked questions. I was 8 years old, and I became my own parent. I don't share this for pity. I share it because it matters. It matters for understanding what came next. When I was 21, my mother resurfaced. She tracked me down somehow, I still don't know how, and showed up at my college apartment. She looked older, worn down by whatever life she had been living for those 13 years. She told me she was sorry. She told me she had been young and overwhelmed. She told me she needed money. I gave her neither forgiveness nor money. I told her to leave. I told her I had no mother. I told her that if she ever contacted me again, I would call the police. She tried a few more times over the years. Letters I returned unopened. Phone calls I didn't answer. Finally, when I was 23, I sent her a single message: "Do not contact me again. You are dead to me." She stopped trying. Or so I thought. I stood in our living room while my wife confessed everything. 6 years ago, my mother had found her. Social media, probably. My wife has never been careful about privacy settings. My mother had reached out with a message. A long, emotional message about how sorry she was, how she had made terrible mistakes, how she was sick and homeless and had nowhere to go. She was so desperate, my wife said through her tears. She was living in a shelter. She had health problems. She was all alone. I couldn't just ignore her. "She's not your mother," I said. "She's mine." and I made a decision about her years ago. But she's changed. I've talked to her for 6 years. She's not the same person who left you. She's remorseful. She wants to make amends. She reached out to my wife behind my back. That's not someone who has changed. That's someone who found a back door when I locked the front. My wife kept crying. She told me it had started small. Just responding to the message. Just checking in occasionally. Then my mother's situation had gotten worse. She lost her spot in the shelter. She had medical bills she couldn't pay. She had nowhere to go. I thought it would be temporary, my wife said. I thought I would just help her get stable, and then maybe eventually you would want to reconnect. Maybe if she was doing well, you could see that she had changed. So you made that decision for me. I was trying to help. You were lying to me. For 6 years. The money. Let me talk about the money because the financial aspect of this betrayal is almost its own separate wound. We couldn't afford to fix the roof. We couldn't afford a family vacation. We couldn't afford to pay off my loans faster. Now I know why. Every time we had a conversation about finances, every time we said, we can't afford that right now, or maybe next year, or we need to tighten our belts, she was sitting across from me, knowing exactly where that money was going. Knowing she was siphoning off $500 every month to send to the woman who abandoned me. I calculated it later. $36,000 over 6 years. That's the roof repair we put off for 3 years until the leak got bad enough to cause damage. That's the Disney trip I keep promising my daughter, next year, sweetheart. That's $36,000 that could have gone toward my student loans I took out because I had no one to help me pay for college, because my father drank away every penny he ever had, because my mother was a ghost who couldn't be bothered to send so much as a birthday card. And my wife has been funding her comfortable life for 6 years. We share our finances, I said. You didn't have the right to do this without telling me. I know. I'm so sorry. I thought if you knew, you would say no. I would have said no. Because I have the right to say no about my own mother. She's been doing better, my wife said desperately. The money helped her get an apartment. She's stable now. She's different, I swear. That's not the point. That was never the point. But the money wasn't even the worst part. What else? I asked. What else have you told her? My wife wouldn't look at me. What else? She wanted to know about the kids. I felt something cold move through me. Something that felt like dying. What about the kids? She's their grandmother. She just wanted to know if they were healthy, if they were happy. She asked about school. She asked about their personalities. What they're like. Did you send her pictures? My wife didn't answer. Did you send her pictures of our children? Just a few. For Christmas and their birthdays. She just wanted to see them. She's never going to meet them, I know that, but she wanted to at least see what they looked like. I walked out of the room because I couldn't trust myself to stay. My wife showed my mother pictures of our children. Children I specifically said she would never meet. My wife gave her that without asking me. I stood in my daughter's bedroom, looking at her sleeping face, and I thought about all the things my mother now knew. She knew what my children looked like. She knew their names, their ages, their interests. She knew about my daughter's obsession with horses. She knew about my son's fear of thunderstorms. She knew things about my family that I had explicitly said she would never, ever know. My wife gave her that. My wife decided my boundaries weren't important enough to respect. Update 1 to 3 days later. I've been staying with my brother. He's the only family I have left. Our father died 5 years ago, cirrhosis, as expected, and he's the only person who fully understands what our childhood was like. When I told him what my wife had done, he was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "What are you going to do?" I don't know yet. That's the honest answer. I don't know. My wife has called me 47 times. She sent messages ranging from apologies to explanations to pleas for me to come home. She says the kids are asking where I am. She says our daughter cried at breakfast because she doesn't understand why Daddy isn't there. That hurts. That kills me. But I can't go back yet. I can't be in that house with her until I've figured out what this means. Until I've processed how deep this goes. She says my mother has changed. Maybe she has. But that was my decision to make, not hers. She stole that choice from me. That's what keeps running through my mind. My wife decided, unilaterally, without my input, without my consent, that my trauma wasn't valid enough to respect. She decided that her idea of what family should be mattered more than my actual lived experience. She decided that she knew better than me what I needed. For 6 years. For 6 years, she maintained a relationship with my abuser. Because yes, abandonment is abuse. Leaving an 8-year-old child with a non-functional alcoholic and disappearing for 13 years is abuse. And my wife has been chatting with my abuser, updating her on my life, sending her money, helping her build a comfortable existence, all while I struggled with the psychological damage that woman left behind. I've been in therapy on and off since my 20s. I've worked hard to build a life despite everything. I've done the work. And all along, my wife was secretly nurturing a relationship with the source of that trauma. Maybe she really thought she was helping, my brother said carefully. Does that matter? He thought about it. I don't know. Does it? Update 2. 1 week later. I met with my wife yesterday. Not at home, I couldn't do that yet. We met at a coffee shop, neutral ground, where the presence of other people might keep us both calm. She looked terrible. Pale, exhausted, like she hadn't slept since I left. Part of me, the part that still loves her, that has loved her for 12 years, wanted to reach across the table and hold her hand. To tell her we would figure this out. But I couldn't. Not yet. I need you to understand something, I said. I need you to really, truly understand why this is so devastating to me. She nodded. She was crying already. My mother didn't just leave. She chose to leave. Every single day for 13 years, she woke up and made the decision not to come back. Not to call. Not to check if I was alive. Not to find out if her son was being fed, or clothed, or loved. She chose her own freedom over my survival. And I was 8 years old. My wife's hands were shaking. When she came back, I had already built a life without her. I had already grieved her. I had already accepted that I was unwanted, that my own mother looked at me and decided I wasn't worth staying for. And then she showed up wanting money and forgiveness, like 13 years of silence could be fixed with an apology. I know. Let me finish. When I told her I was done, that was the first time in my life I had any power in that relationship. I got to decide. I got to say no. That choice, the choice to cut her off, was mine. It was the only thing I could control about any of it. I looked at her, this woman I had married, and I felt something breaking inside me. And you took that from me. You decided my choice wasn't valid. You decided your judgment about my mother mattered more than my own. You maintained a relationship with her for 6 years, keeping her updated on my life, sending her pictures of my children, funding her existence with our money, and you never once asked me. Never once considered that this was my decision to make. She says she did it out of love. But love doesn't lie for 6 years. Love doesn't fund your husband's abuser behind his back. I thought if I could help her become stable, she said, if I could show you that she was different now, that she had changed, I thought you might want a relationship with her. I thought I could heal your family. My family was already healed. My family is you and our children. My family is my brother. That was enough. That was more than enough. I didn't need to reconcile with a woman who threw me away like garbage when I was 8 years old. But she's your mother. She was never my mother. A mother doesn't leave. A mother doesn't abandon her child. She gave birth to me, and then she gave me up, and nothing she says or does now changes what she did. Nothing you say or do changes the fact that you've been lying to me for 6 years. Update 3, 2 weeks later. I've learned more about the extent of my wife's contact with my mother. Emails, text messages, occasional phone calls. 6 years of regular communication, building a relationship that I knew nothing about. She kept it hidden in a separate email account. Deleted call logs. Made the transfers from an app she downloaded specifically for that purpose. She was methodical about hiding this from me. This wasn't an oversight. This was calculated deception. I asked to see the communications. She showed me. Reading through 6 years of messages between my wife and my mother was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. My wife giving updates on my career. My mother responding with things like, "I'm so proud of him," and "I always knew he would do well." Photographs of my children at birthday parties, at Christmas, at ordinary Tuesday dinners. My mother commenting on how much my daughter looks like me. My mother saying she wishes she could meet them. There's a picture of my son from when he was a baby. My mother wrote, "He has my eyes." I had to stop reading. I couldn't breathe. My wife gave my mother access to my life. Not just information, access. She let her in through the back door, let her witness our milestones, let her feel connected to children she has no right to claim. And my mother took it. She could have told my wife to stop. She could have said, "I appreciate it, but this feels wrong. You should talk to your husband." She didn't. She accepted every photo, every update, every dollar. She stayed silent about the deception because it benefited her. Because that's who she is. That's who she always was. Update 4. 1 month later. I've moved back home. Not because I'm okay. Not because I've forgiven anything. But because I have children who need their father, and I won't punish them for their mother's mistakes. My wife and I are sleeping in separate rooms. We're civil to each other in front of the kids, but there's a distance between us now that wasn't there before. A chasm that she carved with 6 years of lies. We've started couples counseling. It was her condition for continuing the marriage, that we at least try. I agreed because I don't know what else to do. I don't know how to divorce the mother of my children, even if I don't know how to be married to her anymore. In our first session, the therapist asked me to articulate the core of my pain. It's not just the money, I said. It's not just the secrecy. It's the fundamental disrespect for my autonomy. My wife decided that she knew better than me about my own trauma. She decided that my boundaries weren't valid because she disagreed with them. She made a choice for me, about my life, my history, my mother, that was never hers to make. The therapist nodded. "And what would you say to that?" she asked my wife. My wife was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I thought I was helping him heal. By lying to him for 6 years. I thought if I could fix it first, if I could get his mother stable, if I could prove she had changed, I thought he would be grateful. I thought he would be glad." "You thought you knew what he needed better than he knew himself." Yes, I did. I thought I could see what he couldn't. That he was holding on to pain that didn't have to be permanent. That his mother's abandonment didn't have to define him forever. I felt something shift inside me. Not forgiveness, nothing close to forgiveness, but understanding. My wife is not a malicious person. She didn't do this to hurt me. She genuinely believed, in her heart, that she was doing something good. Something loving. Something that would ultimately benefit me and our family. That makes it worse, somehow. If she had done it to be cruel, I could understand that. I could categorize it, process it, move on. But she did it out of love, her version of love, and that means the woman I married fundamentally doesn't understand me. Doesn't respect me. Doesn't trust me to know what's best for my own life. Update 5. 3 months later. The transfers have stopped. That was non-negotiable. I told my wife if she sent another penny to my mother, I would file for divorce that day. She agreed. I also insisted that she cut off all contact. No more emails. No more texts. No more updates or photos or any communication whatsoever. My mother has lost her window into my life. The back door is closed. My wife did it. She sent a final message to my mother explaining that the contact was ending, that the financial support was ending, and that she should not try to reach out again. My mother responded with a long, emotional message about how much she appreciated everything, how much it meant to her to feel connected to her grandchildren, how she understood and would respect the boundary. I don't believe her. I think she'll try again, through some other channel, because that's who she is. But at least my wife knows now. At least there won't be any more secrets. As for my marriage, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I love my wife. I've loved her for 12 years. She's the mother of my children, my partner in building a life, the person I thought I would grow old with. And she hurt me in a way I didn't know I could be hurt. Our therapist says trust can be rebuilt. That betrayals, even profound ones, don't have to be the end. That couples can survive worse than this if they're both committed to the work. I want to believe that. Some days I do believe it. Some days I come home and see her making dinner, or playing with our children, or laughing at something on TV, and I think maybe we can get past this. Maybe her intentions, misguided as they were, count for something. Maybe loving someone means accepting that they will fail you sometimes, even spectacularly. But then I remember my daughter asking why grandma in the photos is different from grandma she knows, my wife's mother, who is wonderful and present and everything my mother wasn't. I remember my wife explaining that daddy has another mommy who lives far away. I remember wondering what else my wife has told our children about a woman I wanted them to never know existed. I remember the $36,000. The roof we couldn't fix. The vacation we couldn't take. The loans I'm still paying off because we never had enough money to accelerate the payments. I remember my wife making a decision for me about my own life, my own trauma, my own mother, and doing it for 6 years without ever giving me a choice. Final thoughts. Here's what I keep coming back to. My wife says she did this out of love. She says she wanted to heal my family, to fix something she saw as broken, to give me the relationship with my mother that she believed I deserved. But love doesn't work that way. Love doesn't mean deciding you know what's best for someone and then lying to them for years. Love doesn't mean funding your husband's abuser because you've decided their abuse doesn't count anymore. Love doesn't mean sharing intimate details of someone's life with the person who hurt them most. Love is respect. Love is trust. Love is honoring someone's boundaries even when you don't understand them. My wife didn't love me the way I needed to be loved. She loved me the way she wanted to love me, and there's a difference. I don't know if our marriage will survive this. Right now, we're going through the motions. We're doing the therapy. We're having the hard conversations. But there's a part of me that has closed off to her, a part that may never fully open again. Trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild the same way. You can glue the pieces back together, but you'll always see the cracks. You'll always know it was broken once. My wife is devastated. She cries often. She apologizes constantly. She tells me she sees now how wrong she was, how deeply she violated my autonomy, how completely she failed to respect my choices. She says she understands if I can never forgive her. Maybe I won't. Maybe forgiveness isn't possible here. But I'm trying. For my children, for the life we built, for the love that still exists somewhere underneath all this wreckage, I'm trying. I've won, in a sense. The transfers have stopped. The contact has ended. My mother has been cut off for real this time, permanently, with no secret backchannel remaining. My boundaries are finally being respected. But it's a bitter victory. The kind that doesn't feel like winning at all. My wife, the person I trusted most in this world, the person I told everything, the person I believed understood my trauma better than anyone, fundamentally didn't respect me enough to let me make my own choices. She decided she knew better. She decided my boundaries were negotiable. She decided my mother deserved access to my life, regardless of what I wanted. For 6 years. That's what I can't get past. Not just the lie, but the duration of it. Not just the betrayal, but the sustained, deliberate, ongoing nature of it. She made that choice every month when she authorized the transfer. She made it every time she sent an update or a photo. She made it over and over and over again, 6 years of decisions that said, I don't trust you to know what you need. I'm left with a marriage that might survive but will never be the same. A wife who loves me but didn't trust me. Children who will grow up in a home shadowed by this betrayal, even if they never know the details. And somewhere out there, a mother who abandoned me as a child now has 6 years of photos and updates about the life I built without her. She knows my children's names and faces. She knows about my career and my home and my marriage. She has pieces of me that I never consented to give her. My wife calls it love. She calls it trying to help. I call it the worst thing anyone has ever done to me. And I have to figure out how to live with that. TLDR, discovered my wife has been secretly sending $500 per month to my estranged mother for 6 years, $36,000 total. My mother abandoned me when I was 8, and I cut her off at 21. Wife maintained a secret relationship with her, sent photos of our kids, gave updates about our life. I'm devastated. Trust is shattered. Marriage is in counseling. I don't know what comes next. Here's what I learned about love. It's not enough to mean well. You have to respect the person you love enough to let them make their own choices. My mother left when I was 8. Just gone. No note, no explanation. She left me with a man who couldn't stay sober long enough to make dinner. I raised myself. When she resurfaced at 21, wanting money and forgiveness, I gave her neither. I told her she was dead to me. That was the first time in my life I had any power in that relationship. That choice was mine. And my wife took it from me. $500 a month. For 6 years. $36,000 total. I found it in the bank statements while trying to refinance my student loans, the loans I'm still paying because we never had enough money. We couldn't afford to fix the roof. We couldn't afford a family vacation. We couldn't afford to pay off my loans faster. Now I know why. My wife has been funding my mother's comfortable life for 6 years. Secret emails. Hidden transfers. A relationship built behind my back. But the money wasn't even the worst part. My wife showed my mother pictures of our children. Children I specifically said she would never meet. My wife gave her that without asking me. My mother knows their names. Their faces. Their personalities. She commented on how much my son looks like her. He has my eyes, she wrote. She has pieces of my life that I never consented to give her. My wife says she did it out of love. But love doesn't lie for 6 years. Love doesn't fund your husband's abuser behind his back. She says my mother has changed. Maybe she has. But that was my decision to make, not hers. She stole that choice from me. She thought she knew what I needed better than I knew myself. She thought my boundaries were negotiable. She thought her idea of family mattered more than my actual lived experience. For 6 years she made that choice. Every month when she authorized the transfer. Every time she sent an update or a photo. 6 years of decisions that said, I don't trust you to know what you need. The transfers have stopped. The contact has ended. My boundaries are finally being respected. But trust, once shattered, doesn't rebuild the same way. You can glue the pieces back together, but you'll always see the cracks. My wife loves me. I believe that. But she didn't love me the way I needed to be loved. She loved me the way she wanted to love me. There's a difference. And I have to figure out how to live with that.